Sweet. Awesome. Let me introduce Juan real quick, and I'm going to get out of the way. I don't want to take up any more of his time. So Juan Vasquez, I'm excited to have you join us today. Juan is the founder and co-owner of Illusions Painting, Inc. It's a very well-regarded painting company in Monterey Bay, California. He has over 25 years of experience in the painting industry, and he's built a reputation for delivering quality craftsmanship and creating a strong, people-focused company culture. In his free time, because that sounds like a lot, running a huge business, like successful business like that, he's also a member of the PCA board of directors and co-creator of the Spanish language painting podcast, Los Pintores. His session today, Role Play Like a Pro, a live sales training session. Please welcome Juan. Juan, excited to have you. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Michael, thank you for having me. How you doing?
I'm going to jump out of the way here. I'll jump back in with about 10 minutes left to help answer some, or ask you some questions that people can post in the chat.
This is perfect. All right. Now I'm better. Okay, guys. So I want to basically talk about something that we've been able to do in our business. Something that we've learned is that in order for us to sell is to understand who are we selling to. So who is our client? Who is our perfect avatar? So that's where we've taken our business to understand who the person is and how we cater everything that we do to sell. So I believe that the sale starts before we show up to the client, before the client even calls us. The sale starts, but how our image is projected to them. So what we do now is our main client is a high-end residential. So everything that we cater to is high-end residential. So if I'm gonna sell a Ferrari, I want to think like Ferrari. I want to put everything in a great package. I want to put everything that looks luxury and it looks expensive, right? Why? Because the guy next to me can be selling the same product, but how is he selling it? So that's kind of where we started. We started by just packaging our product and pretty much putting it in front of the people who are our client. So for the last 3 years or so, we have focused in going after that client. What happened there? We scaled up to where we wanted to be, but now how do we scale up to the next level? So now that we are talking to our client, it's great. We have our client, we have a repeated client. Now, how do we march into the next section of the business, or how can we grow? So now by creating different aspects or different divisions of our company, we can grow our business. But how do we incorporate those sales? So now those sales are going to be incorporated differently. So I can't sell the same paint job that I sell my high-end, multi-million-dollar homeowner to my average Joe, right? So then now we have now faced that problem. I'm like, okay, now we want to create a different sales pitch to my new client. So kind of that's what we've been working on for the last, the last year or so, is we understand that in order to grow, we grew our high-end division to around $3 million in the last few years. Now, in order for us to grow and take the next step, we want to go into the commercial sector and the repaint sector. That is completely different. That is structured completely different. How do I sell to that person? Something that I hear a lot from you guys is like Chris Moore earlier, is like, I want to sell on the spot. Okay, how do I sell on the spot? I have to create a presentation. My presentation in the past has been, my client calls me, I'm pretty much had probably a 90% closing ratio. Why? Because most clients that are going to call me, I'm already sold to them. They already bought from me. So that's what I understood. Now it's like my other client that is calling me, it's coming from Facebook, it's coming from different marketing agencies. So now I have to be able to sell on the spot. I have more competition, so I'm not going to have the same closing ratio that I did with my high end. So now how do I transfer that? So that's what I've been doing the last couple of years. And I really apologize that I can't show my presentation, because I can show you what we've done. So Illusions a year ago was all about luxury and our area where we live, and everything is catered to this area of the business. Now that we're selling repaint jobs, now we're saying, hey, you know what? This is the value in painting your house. This is the value on doing this for your property. So now the important things for me that we're doing right now in our business is creating a sales presentation. So now we're training our salesperson into creating and to present this presentation on the spot. So that has never been something that we do in the past. So now that has created that challenge for us. Do you guys hear me? Can you guys put something on the okay, I can see how you guys hear me. Sorry, I was just a little tricked out there. All right. So now is why am I saying this? Because you can probably get to where you want to be in your sales, but understand that things do change. Market changes. And I know Nick earlier said, hey, now if he had to adjust his prices, same thing we do. We don't sell to the same person. Now we're selling to the different demographics. So now I got to adjust those. Maybe not have to be the cheapest guy, but I got to understand my numbers and understand why is it that I can do better. So we work with elite business advisors, and Chris here has really helped us understand where our profit has to be, but where is my bottom line? Where can I cross that line? So when we do that, now I understand how low, where can I get my margins? Because I have really great margins on my high-end residential. So I can allow my repaint division to have lower margins, because now they're going to be combined. So that's something that works inside for us. In my presentation, I was going to show you guys is we had to come up with different structure, completely different. I cannot sell the same paint job to a $20 million house that I will have to sell to a $500,000 job. So what we did is we took all the data. I've learned this from Nick again. And Nick has been just amazing for us to understand how this works, right? So I took all this data that we have, and I had to understand this new market. So that's very important for us to know. So like Nick says, I can give you everything I have, but that is catered to my business, how we do business. So now that we're doing that, we understand that our margins are going to be probably a little smaller than my high-end residential, that my closing ratio, I wanted a closing ratio of like, I don't know, 70%, which I don't think I'm going to get that on these repaints. So I understand if I'm in a 30-40%, I'm going to be completely fine. But it's really reframing your brain to understand that you have to change those things. Those have to be adjusted as you go. It's great that you have this data, but understand that has to move around as the economy changes, the market changes, your business changes. So that's how we are able to move to that department. So in the next 2 years, we want to be very strong in having a high-end residential, commercial, and a repaint section. And so by us doing all of our homework right now, this year, it's a growth year for us, not money-wise, but it's more of a structure growth this year. So we're working on structuring the inner workings of our company, so the next couple of years we can take those steps to grow. It's really important to understand the numbers. We know that in our business we take very good growth every 2 years. So we grow this year, next year it's going to be somewhat the same with a little bit of growth, probably maybe 10 or 15%. And then we adjust those things, and then we grow the following year. So the last 6 years, that's what's happened to us. So that's what this year is for us right now, is taking the structure and adjusting it a little bit to take that growth. I still yet to find out how Nick does it. I am working very hard to have the steady, but we're working on that. Another thing that's very important for sale is to understand that, like, people to understand completely who you guys are, like create this environment, this culture within your business. Because again, sales, I can send someone to sell, I can send someone to put numbers in a paper, but how did that translate back into your company? Something that I've seen in the last 4 years, 5 years in our company is that there is going to be a lot of things that will really dictate the growth of your business. And I'm talking about more the growth of your business here, not the sales, because most of us painters, there's a whole new generation of painters. Let me go there. There's a whole new generation of painting these years that they're coming into the industry with a different knowledge. There's a lot of people in our industry who understand sales, who understand uh, projections, numbers, much better than us painters who have been painting for many years. I am part of the old school painters that we thought that we wanted to be the best painter to have the best company in the world. But guess what? That doesn't work that way. So what we had to do is we have to understand that there's so many resources out there, like PaintScout, like I mean, there's Nick giving us information every week. We have business elite or elite business advisors who really helps us understand why we charge what we charge. I heard these a couple times before when they introduced us to some people. It's like, oh yeah, these are the painters that sold over $3 million without job costing. I mean, I didn't know what job costing was until recently. So now that we do, now we can do job costing. We can understand our numbers. We can know why we're doing our numbers. So I guess what I'm getting back over here is don't focus so much on the sell. The sell's great, but focus on everything behind it. So when you get to that sell, the sell's going to be so much easier. You already have the phone call that you made before you went up to the job site. You sent all the information to the new client. You send them this small video. I saw Brad's video, which I think it's awesome. Sorry, Brad, I might have to copy you on that one. But it's all these creative ways of creating that brand, creating that image, right? That you're selling. So again, we're selling an experience, not a service. And that, it took me a little while to understand that. I'm like, well, why the experience? I have to be a really great painter. You may be the greatest painter, but if you don't know how to position yourself, how to sell yourself, and how to sell your business, then guess what? The business is not going to come and find you. So that was very big for us to understand that. Being part of the PCA has also given me the leverage to be around all these people who have done great things. And so now I can pick from all these little things. So I'm going back and back to the same thing, because if you are a person, I guess I'm more focused on the person who has been on this in this industry for a while, who wants to take that business to the next level. What you're doing for these many years, if you haven't growth, it's not working. So understand that you're gonna have to read, analyze everything that you do and create a plan. So now, instead of us focusing on the pain, on selling the job, let's start going back and focusing on how we structure our business visually and technically to be that business that everybody's gonna want to hire. So that's what we've been focusing on the last couple of years here. It is extremely hard to do so because we're creatures of habit. We want things to keep going the same way that they have been going on over and over and over again. And they do happen. We have Nick here and he's been able to do that. But at the same time, even Nick has to adjust numbers and adjust certain things depending on how things fluctuate, right? So that's the point I want to make here. So if you want to sell, at a higher profit, start with the company. So what are we doing different now? My high-end residential, it's very, it's almost like the commercial business side. It's very relation driven. We'll bring coffee, we bring donuts, we do all this stuff. And the residential, I've learned that it is just faster. I need to be able to answer the call the minute they call. I have to be able to be on top of it. If my guy is driving around, he needs to pull up and check on his leads and respond, send a message. It is very, very, very quick. We were not used to that. So in the beginning, when we actually started doing that, it was very hard because my guys were not used to that. We're like, we will get a lead from one of the big contractors. Hey, I have this job. All right, go send me the information. I'll put an estimate for you. 2, 3 days later, they got a big estimate. We move on. Now, and these leads, we get a lead. I got to get on the call right at the moment. How you doing, Miss Smith? What is it that you're looking to do? Can you tell me the scope? Once we get the scope, we don't have this, yeah, but that's what we're working on, is creating this little video that is going to go out to them. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we offer. This is our promise. This is some of our history. This is recommendations, all this stuff. Once I get to that meeting with them, we are almost done with our presentation. So now I'm going to have a presentation. I'm going to ask the client, say, hey, Miss Smith, how you doing? Would you have 30 minutes to have with me? I want to walk around the house. I want to tell you what is it that we want to do. I want to go over the estimate with you, and I want to give you options that you might, might benefit from. So I'm not used to doing that. I'm not used to talking to the client. I'm not used to dealing with the client. I deal with the contractor, with the designer, with the caretaker. So now by us directly talking to the client, it has to change. So now when we change into the client, we have to cater to them, but we have to be able to explain to them why is it that we do. And I really realize how different it is to sell to this homeowner. When I show up to a homeowner's house that has 3 to 4 estimates, most of us are going to be like, we're going to walk in there. How you doing, Miss Smith? This is that. This is that. Okay, you want to paint? Perfect. I will send you an estimate when I can. Usually that takes what, 3 to 4 days, something like that. Most of us painters do that. So, okay, guess what? Most likely, I mean, I'll probably get the job if I'm the cheapest. But again, I'm going to send this estimate. They're going to see a number. They're not going to see anything now. They're just going to see a number. They're going to compare that number to the other estimates and go like, oh, this is too high. All right. If I sell on the spot, I have a chance to talk to Miss Smith and say, hi, Miss Smith, I will walk around the house. I'm going to ask you all the questions I have. And then I'm going to require 15 minutes of your time to go over this estimate. And then at that moment, if you have any questions, I would love to answer those questions. So what we started doing is we're doing that now. So we show up, we do our walk around, we do all these inspections. Now we sit down with Mrs. Smith, and said, okay, Mrs. Smith, according to what you're asking for us, we are going to paint the wall in the living room. We are going to paint the bathroom. We are going to paint this area of the trim, and we're going to paint. I don't know. You say the balances on the windows, right? So okay, well, any main reasons why are you painting this? Oh yeah, we want to refresh this. We want to sell the house, or we have company coming over. Oh, perfect. Okay, so if I know that I'm selling quality, I'm gonna look. I have these options for you. My first option is to give you top of the line. There is this areas, there is this materials, which I already send this information prior to meeting her. So once you have that done, then now I can go like, based on the information I sent you, this is the options I have for you. They're gonna look at it and be like, "Oh my God!" Like, "Oh, that's expensive." Like, okay, no, it's not expensive. It's quality. It's this. So they're looking at the other person's number, but the other person's number don't have all this information. You don't have the time with the client in front of them to say, "Hey, this is what we're doing for you." And that changed big with our sales lately, because now I can see our conversion being much higher, because now we're explaining the client what we are doing at the same time. all this stuff that I'm saying right now has been said throughout the day. Chris, Nick, they've said it. And guess what, guys? I've learned it from them. So it's I'm not doing anything that it's out of this world. I'm just paying attention on what we're doing. And that's exactly what you guys need to do if you need to scale up on this business or on your business, is understanding what you're doing. Have a focus, have a goal. There's another part that we started implementing in our business is our goal setting. So now we look at our year and say, this is where we want to be at the end of the year. We go back and it's like, okay, if we want to be there at the end of the year, then this is what we're going to do at a quarter. This is what we want to do at every month. And this is what we have to do every week. And this is what we have to do every day. So once we break it down, now it's like, imagine a whole year. That's a lot to do, right? But if I can break it down to a week or daily, God, that changes everything. Another thing that we do is we created a tracking system. And so this tracking system is basically every job we get gets into a tracking sheet. And we have a person, or actually our lead people over on the jobs, keep this tracking system every day. Every day they put at the end who worked it where and how much time it took. And so it goes into this sheet, and that sheet populates with what we already gave them for that job. And so now at every single day I can look at those sheets and I can be like, whoa, we're at 60% of our project. Oh, perfect. And what about labor? Oh, we're at 60% of our labor, 60% of the money. We're good. What if we're doing too much labor? Oh, then hey, we're 60% of our labor and we're at like 70% of our budget. I was like, whoa. Let's look at this. We can see those every single day. But what does that translate to us when we're done with the job? We can look at these data and be like, guys, we did great here. Why? Did we sell at a great price? Were our guys doing great? Were they doing their labor the right way? I mean, did they have all the resources they needed? What happened? What can we attribute to this? So now we can analyze this daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, however we like. So that has changed the growth of our business. That has changed everything that we do here, because now it's not up to me to say, hey, I think we're doing good right now. No, I mean, are we? Uh, Numbers are not going to lie. So that's what we're doing here. So changing those numbers really change everything. Changing the way we process every single job has changed everything. So if I'm explaining myself here to you guys, it's not so much that we have a perfect system. It's just that we worked on creating all these little systems so those can help us keep having the growth that we wanted. I know that we have very short time here, but again, something I wanted to explain here is, and this goes to the people in like on my side, like on the persons who have the painters, the people who have been we're the technicians. I keep forgetting the word. Us technicians don't look into data. Us technicians don't look into how much money we're taking home. We don't. We are so worried about getting the job done, getting the job done, getting the job done. So we need to change that. And the way we change it is by getting started on creating an everyday schedule. What am I supposed to do daily? What is my salesperson supposed to do daily? What is my estimators doing daily? What's my project manager doing daily? And now, guess what? What we have is we have this accountability, daily accountability, and that is what is going to help us grow the business. So that is something that has helped us grow substantially in the last couple of years. Just accountability, being very clear on what is it that we do. And so that's what we keep projecting. So I really wish I could have showed you guys the presentation I had, because there was, we're painters, we're visual person. So when you see those things, they're like, oh, I see what he's talking about. So I apologize I wasn't able to. Again, myself being part of the PCA, being part of the PCA in Espanol, and going around the country and talking a little bit about what we do in our business to scale up. Um, I will be very happy to share anything that we have, anything, any resources that we do. You can definitely find me anywhere, and I will be very happy to share. So it's not a lot more that I can say that all these great individuals have said all day today. But if you guys have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer the questions. Other than that, I kind of got lost there without the presentation, but I am open to any questions that you may have.
Juan, that was great. No, I appreciate it. I know we had some technical difficulties there at the
Yeah,
beginning.
it threw me off a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you handled it great. Like I said, I was listening in, and I appreciated all the information you shared. Obviously, you have a ton of experience and just knowledge in the industry, so appreciated it. Sorry we had some of those technical difficulties. We do have about 5 minutes or so. If anyone has a question, um, love to get those answered for you. Juan's obviously running a successful business, so what would you like to learn from him? Throw that in the Q&A section or the chat. The Q&A section might just help keep things organized.
Yeah, I tell you guys, it's hard to come and talk after Chris and Nick, man. Like, God, I mean, I'm talking to the teachers here, guys. These guys are,
It's
God, they're
it's
amazing.
challenging. It's also challenging because you can't like see or hear anybody, so you don't get any feedback when you're doing this. It's kind of an
Yeah,
awkward experience, just kind of talking to your computer screen.
exactly. No, and
Yeah.
I do realize that I didn't have the right thing there.
No, you're great. So
Yeah, like I said,
we do have a few questions. So it says, are you estimating on the spot? How do you get PaintScout set up to go faster? Any thoughts on that?
huh? Well, I mean, go faster. Like, what do you mean go faster? I mean, it goes fast. Does pretty much goes pretty
Yeah.
fast. I mean, what do you mean go faster? Like us?
Yeah, Rick, if you wanna add some thoughts, I think Rick, the way I would interpret your question is just like to create your quote faster.
Mhm.
Um, but Rick, if you want to post maybe a second question here and clarify that, I'll just say this real quick. If you're not using the copy feature that PaintScout offers,
Mhm.
that is a game changer. And like the copying, grouping, some of those types of features, I also would strongly suggest that think of your templates as put as much as you can into a template. It's faster to take things out of your quote than it is to have to put things in. And so for our team, when we have a sales rep show up on site, we want to have a template for like the type of project, kind of like Nick was talking about in his presentation. And what they're doing is they're starting with maybe a room, and it already has walls, ceiling, baseboards, windows, doors, all of those things. The customer says, hey, we don't want to paint the trim and the doors and the windows. It's easy to just archive those really quickly. It's faster to do that than it is to add them. So just a thought.
If I can add to that, something
Yeah.
that we've done for us is we created a 1, 2, 3. So for walls, I mean mainly for like windows, trim, doors, we have a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then they all have already their definition. And so depending on walking around the house, and if I have 10 doors, but they just need the most basic, you know, sand and paint, that's my number one. It already has all the definitions there, it has all the literature, so I can just click on those. So it makes it easier for me, and so that I don't have to retype, think about it or do it. No, it's just 1, 2, 3, and then you keep going. And we've done that to pretty much everything that has to do within in a house.
I love it.
Production rates, basically.
Perfect. Yeah. And not having to type is awesome. That's a great tip.
No, exactly. That's what we don't like to do.
Ben asks if you have any tips to find reliable subcontractors.
So interesting, because we're in California, and in California, it's very tricky with the subcontracting. We've never done subcontracting until about 2 years ago. And in other states, subcontracting it's the normal. So what we do now, we do have 2 subcontractors, and both of those subcontractors have work with us in the past, so they came out of our company, they understand how we work, and so it's made it very easy for us to work with them. But then again, finding great subcontractors is almost like finding great clients. You have to bring that value. You have to, they want to come and want to work for you. So meaning, how good is your business structure, how well you promote your business, and basically how well you treat them, at the end of the day.
Perfect. Yeah. A couple more questions. How do you use the PCA production rates compare with yours?
Um,
Maybe
the,
even
the,
just like a
the,
couple of highlighted ones. I know there's a
yeah.
ton.
So for production rates, I think it's very tough to use PCA production rates, or even the ones that we have like in these estimating systems, because they're very generic. So depending on what your area on the country you are, they're gonna be different. And not only that, what are you doing? Are you doing commercial? Are you doing residential? Are you doing high end? So it is gonna be uh, tweaked a little bit. Maybe take them and divide them on how much you charge and see if it makes sense to you. But what we've done is we've taken a stopwatch and we've done every little project that we can, and we record 2 to 3 times, and then we use an average and we use that.
Yep. It's awesome. Yeah. Constantly, kind of checking your own work is what I hear
Yes.
you saying there. It's great. And then Orlando asked, what has been a growing pain you had to overcome as your company has grown?
Whew. It's quite a bit of those.
Yeah.
So latest we had is employees.
Okay.
I think is one of the toughest thing as you grow is to manage people. you know it's I think is one of the toughest. It's getting everyone to buy into what the company stands for. I think that's one of the toughest things. Money and everything else is a tough thing, but managing people is one of the toughest things that we have to deal with, because we are mainly W2s.
Yep. Got it. Perfect. Well, we are at time, Juan. I really appreciate you being here. Spending time with us again. Apologize that we had some technical issues. I
No,
thought you handled
sorry
it
for
great.
me.
Great content. So for everybody that's listening in, don't forget we have one more like keynote session coming up. So on the main stage, you're not going to want to miss. This is Matt Easton is going to be joining us. Matt is not from the painting industry. Matt is a sales trainer, a sales professional. We've had a ton of awesome speakers, including Juan. We mentioned Nick. So many different people today that have provided a bunch of amazing content from within our industry. I'm really excited to hear from Matt, as he's going to give us some sales tips, tricks, and advice from maybe outside of the industry, probably things that maybe you aren't as familiar with. So you're definitely going to want to do that. Make sure you join the main stage for that one. Juan, again, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being a part of PaintScout X.
Hey, thank you so much, guys, and thanks so much.
All right,
Have a
take care.
great one. Bye bye.